Well, it is finally Friday, and I can just almost bet you that you guys thought we forgot about finally Friday. Truth of the matter is that we have been doing our finally Fridays in what is now known as group session. So we wanted to get on here and we wanted to tell you that all of our challenges, everything that we could possibly talk about, we are now forming a group. I'll give you some information about it because that group is today. If you are living in our community, you can come straight to the healing center. And if you are outside of the community, you can still be interactively part of our healing center. Where is it? Right here on our Vibe Talk Facing the Lion page on our Facebook Live. The time is going to vary for you because you may be living in or surrounding times. Here in California, it's 7:38. So at 10:30, we will commence our group number 5 group session. Our group number 5 session. If you wanted to play catch up, okay, here's what you do. You can go back and listen to the group sessions at any time because they're all recorded. The only thing that's never recorded is my private one-on-ones with my clients. That's the only thing that's never recorded. So find out what we've been talking about. If it's 7:30 here, 7:39 to be exact, what time would that be where you live? Because in California West Coast time, the time for the group meeting is going to be exactly at 10:30. Here is what we're going to do. We're going to come in early. Last week I was late, just so that you all know. But I want you, if you're listening live from any part of the state that you live in, get there 15 minutes early. Because while we're in group, I'm doing a lot of board work, walking around the room, looking at observing the group session. So it's important if you want to be a part of it. Welcome. We haven't done anything with Finally Friday. We're still here. We're just doing it in group form. So I thought that today would be a really good day to explain to you guys. For those of you who are like me, you like Finally Friday facing challenges, you still get to tell us what it is that you have been faced with. And the purpose of our Finally Friday challenges is not only to talk about the challenges, even though that's a major part in your turn to be able to tell the story, but we want you to know how to strategically, skillfully be able to solve your challenges successfully. We want you to do what is a resilient move, not, not to just stand there, not to just stare, but we want you to move into action, finding what you need to do. Now, this is not a podcast that's going to tell you what to do. It's going to motivate you, inspire you, and help you to stay positive. We have 4 recorded group sessions. And what we're trying to do is invite everyone to come and check it out. So if you go to our page, which we're live at right now, you'll be able to see it. They're all on YouTube. What have we been talking about? Emotions. We've been talking about depression. We've been talking about coping. We're going to go through a series of things. That group session is an accredited group session. There will be people that get certificates. So if you want to be one of those people, we ask that you can use it for things that maybe or may not be court appointed. That you attend one of those classes if you need to. Cultivating gratitude is another thing you learned. You also learn how to be kind to yourself and others. You're learning also to be able to embrace your healing journey, your changes that come about. You're learning confidence. And that's the one thing that I do like about the group session is that it encourages people to talk. If you want to come and you just want to listen, that's okay too, and you can invite anyone that you like. Growth is what you'll find as well. So we think about facing challenges. Good morning, Trish.
Good morning.
We learn while facing challenges to build strength. That is lion strength. We get to understand ourselves on a deeper level. You'll hear me talk about the keys. Keys are always for a reason, a literal key. You will need a key into opening the box to yourself, your mind, and your heart. Those are two big, very empowering tools. You will gain a deeper understanding. I'm going to tell you guys and girls, ladies and gents, I'm going to tell you something. I have learned more by educating so many clients, by going through the experience. You know how they say one must have gone through the experience in order to know the experience? There's a lot of things that I've had to challenge myself. There's a lot of things that I'm still growing and learning, making better decisions for myself, not allowing toxicity to enter into my life. I've seen growth in me. You learn about self-discovery. You learn about your capabilities.
Maybe you didn't know that you had the capability. You've turned your, or you will learn to turn your weaknesses, your challenges into better strength. You also will learn how to overcome challenges that you thought would break you. But no, those challenges have made me who I am today, and thus forth will make you who you are. Self awareness, gaining more confidence in how you think and feel. The first step is that you show up here. The second step is to realize when you show up, you're impacting those around you. When you show up, you are able to stand tall. You're able to say, here I am. I'm ready. You challenge yourself to be able to welcome them. Come a little closer. You challenge yourself to be able to welcome them in every situation. And in those challenges, you're able to learn the coping mechanism. We talk about the coping mechanism, especially last week in our segmented group session on coping. When you learn about the mechanism, that is a tool. How about the times that we have felt that we weren't going to make it? If you can go back in your mind, you're here today. You might be dealing with something that you feel like one more day, I cannot hold on. I just can't hold on any longer. We talk about real challenges. In the last 5 years, half of that year was about facing challenges. You had a gateway to understanding why Vibe Talk Facing the Lion was called that as you faced your challenges. You even had the opportunity to listen in on real live callers. Now, when we meet in the center group, we are given the opportunity to let everyone in the room speak. Why? Because these are difficult times, just in case you hadn't noticed. And what are we doing? We're allowing the time for you to be able to say, I need understanding. I want to feel alive. I have something to say. Is there anybody listening? All of these things help you to be able to rise, to blossom, just like the butterfly, just like the caterpillar that turns into a beautiful butterfly. What else are our challenges? What do we learn from them? Problem solve. I think about problem solving. Let's go back in our lifetime because in here we visit our childhood a lot. For the very first time, when you were going to kindergarten, you learned to problem solve. Let me demonstrate. When you were in pre-K or kindergarten, you had to figure out something. What was the very thing that you had to figure out in kindergarten, Trish?
I have to think about that.
I had to figure out my name, my name placements. As you look back at kindergarten, the fondest memory for me was I'm in this big room and unfamiliar territory. My parents aren't there, not all day anyway, when it's time to sit down. And so we had to figure out our name. Because some of us didn't really know what our name looked like. Some of us didn't really understand the practice of that. And most of us did not watch Sesame Street. I just happened to be the kid that learned my name, how to spell it at a very early age. What am I talking about? I'm talking about problem solving. If you didn't know any of that, that was going to be your biggest cat challenge, right? And from then you start to learn the letters in your name. Have you figured it out yet that you are you? Now, there might be two of you in the same class. That's happened before. So you have, in addition to finding your name, knowing what the last name is. They either call you Peter S or Peter B. Sound familiar? So you had to be challenged with that because you were going to be in that room for the rest of the year. And it was uncomfortable. It was frightening. It was challenging to say the least. But you've made it today. Are you still struggling with who you are? Recognizing your name and the truest of you? So we had to face not only solving things, but we had to adapt. Remember the creativity? We talk about that a lot too. When you saw at your tables, your centers, crayons, you had to think creatively. Maybe you read a story time. After story time, you drew a picture, or you were giving a piece of paper or a worksheet and you could color what was in the picture. You had to be creative. And every story that we read in kindergarten always was to solve a situation. I don't know if you all know that, but that's the time where children are learning critical thinking. Like, for instance, and these are just made up titles, Timmy the cat had a bad day. But what made Timmy's day bad? What could make Timmy's day better? You see the thinking creatively, and so you get to answer when the teacher reads the big giant book and even possibly turning the pages. Oh, are we turning the pages to our challenges once we figured it out? Or are the pages stuck together? As time went on, you got the hang of what pre-K and kindergarten was going to be about. So let's say kindergarten, back in the day, we went to school from September to June. So those months gave us time to embrace our second home, which was our kindergarten class. We became familiar. We knew where our cubbies were. We knew our name. We could tell you, even if the cubbies were all the same color, we recognized that the you in your name, you recognize it. Yeah, that's me. And so you gladly found your cubby. In that cubby, you placed everything that you did. All your writing for school, anything that needed to go to your parents, that was your center. Are you challenged to have your own center? What do I mean by center? Wherever you are, I'd like for you, if you're in your room, to stand in the center of wherever you are. And then I want you to point to the center of where you are. Are you aware? Right? Because some of us don't center ourselves. We don't think about those things. But in our center, in our real centers, that's why we call it centers, we learn about ourselves. You center yourself. I want you to point to the center of yourself and to the center of where you're standing. Did you notice? Do you see your surroundings? All of us are centered in different ways and in different places. But in order for us to recognize our centeredness, we have to embrace. We have to face. We have to be flexible. And all change must happen. Until uncertain, that happens too. In our challenges, we learn to look at situations. Going back to our childhood, I'd like for us to think about analyzing your room situation. You don't know anybody in that room when you're a 4 or 5 year old kid. But as you start to see them every day, you begin to take risks. And you know what? When we're little kids, we don't ask each other, what's our name? Very rare that we do that. But did you know that after months go by, the people that are in that room, those little people with the tiniest hands and the developing minds, they start to know you by name. What is your name? Who are you? We're still faced with that challenge within ourselves. Here's another thing we are challenged with being kind, showing empathy. Because everybody in that room have different hair, color, different names, different clothes, kind of like the rainbow fish, if you've ever read that. And if you haven't read it, I ask that you read that book because it talks a lot about being different. You start to learn how to share. Remember at one of the centers I said about the crayons that you just can't wait to color with because that's a familiar thing to you. So you learn to share. There might be two boxes or two trays of crayons. And if there are two greens and Bobby wants the green, but yet Stephanie has the green, you must learn patiently to wait. You're challenged, especially if you're an only child and you haven't learned yet. Or if after you've done all your work and you go to recess and you're running around because by that time everybody's running around and they're screaming. Can you hear it? As long as I've been a teacher, I've never been on a playground where no kids are screaming. They are as happy as they can be because they're getting a break. As McDonald's slogan used to be, you deserve a break. Have you taken one? See, we're learning to challenge ourselves even at the smallest age that we can remember. And why do I talk about the 5-year-olds? Because 1 through 5 are very, very important stages in life. 1 through 5. So you learn as you're on that playground and you're running and you're having the best time of your lives. Uh-oh, someone's crying. And they are crying for dear mercy. Ow, ow, ow. I hurt myself, teacher. Look, I hurt myself. And the other kids start to go over to where the crying child is. Ah, now you challenge yourself without you even knowing. You now have compassion. Because you say, what happened? And the teacher politely, after telling you what happened, or after the child tells you what happened, now you are dismissed to go back and play. Sound familiar? You have developed and challenged yourself without even knowing to have compassion and empathy. You see, the playmate that just fell and hurt themselves needed the compassion and your empathy. You've developed in your mindset to understand the challenge of experiencing empathy and compassion at first hand because you're worried about that child that's crying. How about where you are centered right now? You may go back to your perspective places, whether you were sitting, laying, whatever you were doing. We just gave you a lesson in empathy and compassion. Do you challenge yourself with that even now? We learn that through our interactions with others. And that's what we do in session. Today's podcast is all about learning from our challenges. In that group session, you learn to interact. You learn to remember that time. And by the time we've been in the group, we start to get to know each other. We start to familiarize ourselves with one another. Can you appreciate that? And I know many of you will take the way out to say, well, I want to be on video, and you live 5 to 15 minutes from the healing center, the walk-in center. I don't want you to take the easy way out. I want you to challenge yourself. I want you to recognize how you're being supportive, you're being interactive, you're choosing to challenge yourself with many of life's struggle in those discussions. Is going to be worth your time. And you all are free not to come if you don't want to. But today will be good. We also learn when overcoming the challenges, you look back as you overcome one challenge after another. You can now look back. You say, I made it. I'm okay. I'm not broken. I'm a little shuffled. I'm not broken. You learn from that. You learn that, that time this happened to me and I thought that I would break. I thought that was the end of me. There was no rainbow at the end of that tunnel. You got through. Can you appreciate what you've been challenged with? You have even learned to look at life with a different eye, literally. You notice the bigger picture. Because sometimes when we're challenged, you know what? We have the nerve and the audacity to say, why me? How many of us have said that?
I have.
Yeah, I have, and the many others. If you're honest with yourself, you've said it too. Thank you for that, Trish. So we learn, we thought that we were just the center of attention, and it's only happening to me. But as you sit in that center of our group center, at the healing center, you learn much about yourself. That in comparison to the challenges you have, someone else went through it, or someone else is about to go through it, but you don't know because they haven't been faced with it. So why not you? What I want you to say on the other end of that cloud that you think you're not going to get through is, wow, wow, me. I've got through that. Every day for me is a day of reckoning with myself as a professional, certified life coach counselor. It's a day of reckoning because as you're discussing things with people, every session is different. Group session individual sessions, it's different. And you say, wow, I can't believe they actually survived that. You start learning about you, your name, who you are, and what you've been through in comparison to someone else. And you start to look at that and you're more grateful. We have a resource and support. Be grateful for that. As we challenge ourselves, we learn through growing up. You remember yourself? I want you to go back again and see your 5-year-old self. Do you see yourself? I can see myself. And even when people tell me about myself as a little kid, guess what? I'm no longer 5 anymore. Do you recognize the growth in yourself? Or are you still stuck back there? You remember how your mother or your father dropped you off at school and you held on tightly to them. Some of us cried. I was the crier. I can't even lie. I did not want to go to kindergarten because I'd rather be home with my mom watching my Sesame Street. I don't know why she brought me here. Because I don't like this place. I don't know this place. That was my 5-year-old self. As I stand today, I realize the personal growth. I am not that 5-year-old. From 5 to the age that I am now, I've had personal growth spurts. Let's talk about that. Now, when we were kids, we sized up, right? You remember that time when you were an adolescent? You girls, you know what you did. When it was time to start adolescence, there were changes. Remember that? Some girls had it and some girls didn't. You all know what I'm talking about. And if you didn't have it, you would be pressured because you thought that you weren't growing. But what your parents told you is that every boy and girl is different. They will grow in time. And in time, you blossomed. And it was very noted. I remember the time when my parents, or my mother, I should say, used to buy me these sets for the week. I had matching top and matching bottoms, and they would have, they were my undergarments, and they would have each day of the week. And then all of a sudden, as I start growing, those undergarments had to be changed because they had to adapt. I had to adapt to the personal growth. And we're talking about physical changes. And you boys, if you've got brothers and you've got sons, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Boys, they smell like puppies. A lot of them. So you make sure that they're showering. That's their growth. Or they start to trip over their own feet. Or they're goofy, laughing about stuff that doesn't even make no sense. And you know exactly what I'm talking Or if you group a bunch of 12-year-olds and you're in a class and you say, he's taller than me. Oh, he's the shortest one, right? We go through personal growth even beyond our 5-year-old stage. Every day is a day for personal growth and transformation. Have you challenged yourself? Sometimes these personal growths make us uncomfortable. They make us feel out of sort, out of center. But you know what we learned? We had to go through those personal growth spurts to become the you that you are, the individual that you are, beyond just recognizing your name. In that personal growth spurt, you had to learn things. We had to learn when things weren't funny. We had to learn the funny thing. We had to learn how to take care of ourselves, our hygiene, our friends. When you made these changes, you had setbacks. Is anybody right now having any type of setbacks? Because someone that will listen to this podcast today on challenging, learning from challenges, you probably had one. Maybe you're going through a personal setback, but it doesn't mean you're not growing. Let's stay in our childhood for a moment because I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about the time when you wanted to grow tall. You wanted to grow. And you would mark a line. I've done it. My two young adult sons are 7 years apart. But they want to see how tall they are. So you might, I don't have one here, but I did have one as they started to grow in my old house, lying where to see how tall they were. If you've ever done that, you go by and you know what you do? You start to realize, hey, I'm getting tall. Hey, I'm changing. All right? Personal growth. We continue to get through the challenge of growing up and changing. It's a wonderful life. Now, when we think about our changes, even in these 5 minutes, what have you learned? What have you learned about the challenge or the challenges that you and I must encounter? Because we are going to encounter. Are you aware of that? Remember and always remember your awareness of your name. You know, sometimes we say, I know my name. And I say, spell it. Did you know that everybody doesn't spell this? Let's say you have a name. My name is Nisi. Yours is Treasure, right? Everybody has a different spin on how they're going to spell it. And even if you spell it the same, you are two different individuals. Have you recognized that you are an individual? Do you accept that about yourself, or are you hard on yourself and you say, well, they do this and I'm not there yet? My kids used to always say, well, so-and-so is doing this. Well, I'm not so-and-so's mother. I'm your mother. But you're going to have different challenges. You're going to learn from those challenges. But let me ask you something. Come a little closer. What do you learn from the challenges that you are now facing? What are you learning? Do they build in you something? Do they educate you? Are they fostering things in you? You see, because learning something should be a thing. That should be the trend. I've learned something. What has this taught me? Your challenges that you will face today, tomorrow, and in the future. And back to the past have afforded you the opportunity to learn something. Even as I sit here right now, all the things I said about kindergarten, pre-K, you probably thought about it and recognized that it was something new that you learned at the age that you are now. When you learn, you are continuing to help yourself adapt, improve, and embrace. You got those three words? Adapt, improve, and embrace. Learning from challenges. Every day you learn something. Or do you? Every day should be a day that you learn something new. Whether it's a new food, whether it's a new way of doing something, a new way of understanding, every day should be a day that you learn something. If you're doing the same old thing every single day, then I want you to stop and I want you to get centered, to pause just for a second. If you're doing the same thing every day, many of us go to work while others of us go to school, whether it be college, whether it be an education program, and many of us are planned people. Have you found a new way to do it? Let's say today's Friday. Friday. Now we've challenged ourselves. When Friday comes, we say we're going to do something new in our challenges. And every day, if you go back for our Facing Challenges Friday, and we're going to put those together on Friday because we want you to see the many topics we've covered. We've done something different. Even if we talked about learning from our challenges last year or 2 years ago, today it's different. And you'll learn from that. The world that you are centered on right now, that you are standing on right now, what do you learn about the amazing world that we have so much to educate us from? If you are not a learner, then can I just say that I want you to educate yourself. Some of you are homebodies, and the very devices that you have in your hands, use those as an opportunity to learn about the world around us. And you say, well, Miss Nisi, there's so much that's going on around us that is so bad, so disappointing, so disheartening. We're all full of hate. But I want you to challenge yourself. In the world that you are standing on right now, on the surface of this earth, how many plants can you name? How many places have you let Google take you to, or YouTube? How many languages do you know? How many recipes do you have? There is endless possibility of our understanding and challenging ourselves to learn as to know. To learn as to know. What you say. Every day I am faced with so many challenges you don't understand. It's like being in a library and I'm overwhelmed with all of these challenges. Why? Why am I having these challenges? Why do we have these challenges? Challenges help you to strengthen yourself. Some challenges we learn to know that we might be really good at something, while other challenges we might need to improve. Guess what? When we face our challenges, we learn our purpose. When we face our challenges, come a little closer to me, we learn our purpose. And every challenge is different. Nobody is going to go through a challenge the exact same way. And the challenges are not because it's a why me, it's a wow me. That I went through it and I got through it. The challenge came, I embraced the change, and I'm able to learn to know from it. Finding yourself, discovering yourself, understanding your strength, understanding where you need to be challenged or I need to be challenged. Going back to that classroom the very first time you were presented with something was probably very traumatic for most of us. We called our parents because we cried. They knew that kindergarten or preschool would be something that was going to be great for us. It was going to help us to learn to know. And aren't we glad for some of the experience that we had? Yeah, some of them were uncomfortable, like when Bobby fell and hurt himself. Remember that? But Bobby got to know that teachers can be good guidance people. They can give you a band-aid, make your always better. They can teach you about skillful. And then there are people who care about you. Bobby's little friends came up to wonder what was going on, and he hurt himself, and we began to feel for Bobby because he had hurt himself. But guess what? Bobby learned the challenge, and soon he would feel better in the next 10 minutes. And so what did Bobby choose to do? Oh, yeah, go out there and scream like freedom was their last time. You know how the kids do. So Bobby learned from that. Did he ask for that to happen? No, but stumbles and falls will happen. Bobby learned to get up. How about yourself? Do challenges really help us? Has a challenge in your life helped you? The 5-year-olds are the little challenges, but the 20s, 40s, 60s, 70s, and on, those are the bigger challenges. Are we growing from that? Or is it too much? We're too broken. Little Bobby taught us to get up, that it's going to be okay. And he continued. And you know what? When recess came around again, the chance to be free again, he didn't just sit down because he remembered the fall. When he approached where he fell, he didn't even remember. He just ran through it just like a pro. Ought to learn from little Bobby. So how do we look at life's challenges? How does it shape us? How has it made you stronger? What benefits do you derive from being challenged? You've had to struggle. Yes, we all have. We can remember the times we had to struggle. But if we didn't struggle, we couldn't have grown. How many of us have ever had growing pains? There really is such a thing as growing pains. Some of us experience that, while others of us had a lot of other things. One of my kids used to always trip. I was like, why are you always tripping? Like over his feet. That's because of the growth spurts and trying to get it adjusted. While one of my children were very quiet and shy. And so it required for me to have more patience to learn and adapt and help him to be able to talk out his feelings. As we struggle through our challenges, we need to stretch. I want you to stand up again if you're not driving. I want you to stand up and stretch. And I want you to stretch to your fullest potential. Don't hurt yourself. Stretch. It is important, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gents, to learn. It is important that when we struggle, that's part of our growth. You will have growing pains. You will learn from the growing pains. I want you in life to always challenge yourself so that you will discover yourself. Here's a quote that I really love. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. Here's a thought. You know that thing when the teacher asks you to get to know you, what do you want to be when you grow up? How many of you remember what you said?
I do.
Anybody? What did you say?
I said I wanted to be a princess.
A princess? And what happened? What became of that?
It did not happen. I'm not a princess, guys.
Okay. Well, I wanted to be an Avon lady. I wanted to be that. I wanted to be an Avon lady because I like the blue bags and the suitcases. Didn't happen. But I want to tell you something about the choice. The choice is yours. Whatever you think it should be, it is yours. We may think one way, but then oftentimes it may not come out the way we think it to be. Why is that? Because we grow. We change. Our minds grow. What we thought about at 5 years old was not what we're thinking about when we become in our 20s, our 50s, our 40s. We learn different. Why do we learn? Because our emotions change. Our thinking change. Change is possible. Challenges are possible. I want you to think about you as the resilient, you as the resourceful, you as the person that created for yourself what you would like to be. The you that is you, right? You've gotten past recognizing your name. You, you've gotten past all the hurts. If you're still going through it, I guarantee you will get step tall. In life, we learn from our childhood experiences. We learned how they helped us. We must identify and accept and not blame. And that's what you learn in the challenge group, our group session. You learn to identify the you that you are. You've accept. You will learn to accept, and you learn to name the challenge. You learn the process. When you go through the challenge that has provided for you trauma, it is your trauma. Once you hear somebody else speak, you will learn their trauma. When you go through trauma and you're challenged with that trauma, I want you to learn to honor everything that you have went through. Once you do that, you are going to be able to start healing. The you that you are, challenge yourself that you have value. You look at you there. You've grown. My, how you've grown. Learn to value the you that you are. Not what you do or what you've done. Learn to value you. Why is that? Because there might be many people with the name Treasure and Nisi and Stephanie and Bobby, but there is no one like you on the very earth that you're standing upon. Your, your inner work, recognize it, honor who you are, the you uniquely. There's so much to be talked about, but in lieu of the time, we must take a break. And we come back, we're going to go straight to Trisha. Okay? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Facing the lion is always positive. And so I ask you today, as we are going to be facing our lions or challenges of the week, what did you face this week that was challenging? Facing the lion. Facing the lion podcast. Facing the lion podcast. We're back. And now to Trisha's answers. Trish?
So, since it's facing challenges, the challenge that I have been facing is learning to ride a bike. I don't know how to ride a bike, guys. No. It kind of had one when I was younger, a tricycle when I was like 6, and that came easy to me, but I was out of practice, and here I am, 23. I want to learn how to ride a bike, and right now it's difficult. It's difficult for me. And in the process, I've realized that everyone learns different. Like, for example, I asked my little brother, so how did you start? Like, what was your strategy? And he was like, well, first I learned balance. First, I put my foot on the one pedal and tried standing on the pedal and practicing balance. And I was like, okay, so let me try that. And so I tried his way. I could not get it, guys. My balance was way off. It was way off. And I was like, okay, this is not working. So what I thought, I was like, okay, so let me try sitting on the seat, and then you hold the bike, and then I practice on pedaling, and I feel like that'll get me going so far. And he was like, you know what? I mean, I guess we could try it that way, but I don't see how that's gonna work. But I'm like, it's my way. I feel like it will help me. I feel like it will help me. And he's like, okay, okay. And so I get on the seat. I practice. I practice. Um, I practice pedaling, and then after I practiced pedaling, it was difficult because you need to put all your leg power into it, and so it's kind of hard to do when someone's holding the brakes because the weight of the bike and their weight at the same time while you're pedaling, it's kind of hard for the bike to go. So, um, I was practicing that, and I was like, okay, guys, I feel like I got it. So let me try. Let me be honest with you guys because I still don't know how, but I'm gonna keep practicing. But I tried by myself, and it's harder for me than it looks. It's very hard, but at the same time, what I like about that challenge is I didn't give up, and I don't want to give up. I really want to learn. And if you've seen in my Trisha's Treasures of my good things in a week, you see my mom. She's riding the bike. It was that same day that I learned how to ride a bike. So my mom, she was so great at it. I was like, okay, mom, I didn't know you still had it, but she can do it, guys. She's great at it. And so like, okay, mom, if mom can do it, I can do it. That's what I thought. And I still think that I just need more time to learn. And that is okay, guys. Um thing about our group sessions is the gracefulness in understanding that everyone heals at their own time, everyone learns at their own time, and everyone learns different, and everyone starts differently on their paths. Sometimes I know for me that sometimes if I'm not sure of something, I'll just sit there and listen, do my research, observe, and then when I feel more comfortable and um when I feel like my space is respected, then I'll like try to be more open, be more vulnerable. And that's how it was with when I joined Vibe Talk. And so we understand that everyone learns at their own pace, at their own time. It's like riding a bike, guys. Everyone, you can be in a group of people, a class of people that want to learn to ride the bike, and we don't know who will learn faster and who will learn at a gradual pace than the others. But the point is that we're all here to learn the same thing. We're all here to learn how to ride the bike, and that's how it is. But the difference is we're all here on our own journeys, on our own paths, learning at our own paces, but it is being respected. It's being respected that everyone has their own space and everyone is on their own journeys. So I'm trying to say that it's okay to feel like, I feel like I don't know about this, but at the same time, I want to give it a try. That's your choice. That's the beautiful thing about this. It's a choice. So, it's your choice whether you want to hop right into it or just look on our channel, listen to a couple of them and see what you think about it, and then to hop on board. That's okay. That's totally fine because I'm the kind of person that likes to research when I'm what I'm looking at first, okay? And that's totally fine. But knowing yourself and knowing what you like and knowing how you're beginning this journey and what you're getting in this healing journey for is very, very important. So I wish you a great beginning for your healing.
Trisha's Treasures can be heard on our YouTube channel. You can also look it up online. Yeah, it is full of wisdom and full of things. Like I just learned a new fact about riding the bike. And that goes hand in hand with what I was saying about me on the roller skates and how much I love them, the mechanism of all of it. And she didn't give up. We hope that you will continue to challenge yourself with that. And with that being said, my take home from this is to learn and grow. Learn and grow. What was your take home from
My take home from this is when I'm learning about myself and on the journey of learning, I have to be patient. It's okay that it'll be probably a longer process than I thought, but that is okay because it's a longer process. That means I have a lot more to learn about. I need to take in that knowledge, take in that information that I'm learning. That's my take home.
everyone faces challenges in life. It's a matter of how you learn to overcome them and use them to your advantage. Quote. I want to thank, first of all, my amazing co host. Thank you so much for the treasures that contribute so much. I also want to thank you as the audience. I look back and I'm going to tell you something about our group sessions. Perhaps you may not be in the room, but your doing it has had a large response. We want you to overcome the challenge and just come. You don't have to register. You don't have to pay. Just come. You won't regret it. I will take a break, uh, and at 12 o'clock, uh, you know, we get people in. We'll do a little snack break, a lunch break, whatever you want to call it, and then it'll be over at 12 or after the group session. We can do that. It's a way for you to mingle and get to know each other, because the more you know, the more you. Thanks everybody for the great week we've had. We faced challenges, we've overcame challenges this week, and we've learned from each other. Let's keep doing that. And at 10:30 California time is our live for group session. I won't tell you what we're going to talk about. You just have to be there. Have a good day. I wish you a beautiful weekend and look forward to our Vibe Talk After Dark with me as your host for chill, smooth conversation. Bye, everybody.